Hi all, my name is George Morris. I'm here to discuss about the case study Schulich School of Medicine, Enhancing and Developing a High Performance Culture. This is written by Ken Mark under the supervision of Professor Murray Brandt. And uh, let's dive into the subject. Coming to the outline, what I'm going to discuss here is about the Schulich School of Medicine. I'll give you an introduction about the school and then go in about the main character of our case study, Dr. Jane Rylett, and then go to the case summary, the key OB issues, the market comparison, recommendations, and references. About Schulich School of Medicine and Dentistry, it's a medical school founded in 1881. The dental school was founded in 1964 and it's under the Western University of Western Ontario. It's located in London, Ontario. The dean is Michael Strong. It has an academic staff of 1,800 people. About Dr. Jane Rylett. Dr. Jane Rylett is a distinguished university professor and past chair of the Department of Physiology and Pharmacology at the Schulich School of Medicine and Dentistry at Western University. She is a scientist at Molecular Medicine Research Laboratories at Robertson Research Institute and currently serves as the Associate Dean at Schulich. And following a PhD in pharmacology, she trained in neurophysiology at University College London, England, and neurochemistry at Max Planck Institute for Biophysical Chemistry, Germany. She was recruited to Western University as the Rubinov Scholar in Geriatrics. Not keep you waiting, I'm going to dive into the case summary. So the case study starts with the introduction of Dr. Jane Rylett being appointed as the chairwoman of Department of Physiology and Pharmacology in 2004. The department was newly formed in June 2002, combining two departments, physiology and pharmacology and toxicology. The physiology obviously is the bigger one, and pharmacology and toxicology was the smaller one. When Dr. Jane was appointed, she was a member of the department itself, and she took over from the chairperson who just left. To go into that background, this chairperson was an externally elected person since the physiology and pharmacology and toxicology departments were two departments separately. To have an external party coming in and taking control was a feasible solution to increase the cohesiveness between the two departments. But the team mentality didn't change after the unification of both the departments. The feeling of being taken over by a bigger fish, eaten by a bigger fish, that is the physiology department, existed. So they after the existing chairman, the all chairman person leaving without completing her term of 5 years, at the 2 year mark itself, Dr. Jane Rylett, who was internally selected due to the fact that she knows the problem from inside out. Okay, and then the issue Jane is building a cohesive environment and nurturing a performance culture. It was a very large department with two or three different subgroups and persons at different locations, 60, almost 60 different persons at different locations across the city. So interdepartmental communications and support was very limited and very dangerous. What do you call, not dangerous? The word, it would be very difficult. Then the internal morale was low. The people were thinking that still get attached to their all department. They were not saying it, but they were feeling that. And then the decision making process was very difficult. Three all to satisfy all the persons. And next is the employee participation in decision making. The employee participation in decision making was very difficult. Their views, it's decided by few of the top personals over there, and it was very difficult. And next is the employee participation in the achievement of departmental goals. Actually, the departmental goals were not achieved. Like they had their research objective, they were not participating in their academic objective, that is teaching, and the social responsibilities which were assigned to corporate that are being assigned to actually. And next is nurturing a performance culture. There was a willful underperformance due to non-existing incentives. The teaching was considered primary, but secondary, not primary, secondary, but and they were not. It was not given any importance. Actually, it was kind of treated like an irritation, and There was no process to monitor the non-research side of it, that is teaching and other part. And there was no objectives and no documentation or process to monitor an individual performance on that side of secondary side actually. uh, the research outcomes could be measured, and the research side could be measured, but the individual performance on the non-research side was not measured actually. So I come to a conclusion that the key OB issues were organizational structure and the team properties and the process. Related to the organization structure, the organization change, organization size, cohesiveness, job attitudes, felt versus displayed emotions, team formation, motivation, strength internally elected. I mean, these factors are there. The organizational change, I'll talk about organizational change in the mean any change will be opposed by people actually. So they were not ready to accept it, and they were thinking about their past actually, instead of moving forward with the new department. And the size, as we discussed earlier, the size was huge, and they had three subgroups actually. So to meet and make them cohesive was a important challenge. And the job attitudes, their attitudes on the research side versus the non-research side, that was also uh, affecting the what you call uh, organization as it is actually. And the team formation, she was planning to form a bigger team over there, bigger executive committee, but that was not easy actually, to elect people into it and then select the right team. That was very difficult, and giving them motivation to perform properly was important. And since they had a already a feeling of what you call being neglected, means like a bigger fish eating a smaller fish, they were having a feeling of being sidelined. So since already on the organizational structure, since Dr. Eilert was a internally elected person, that was the biggest strength she had. She knew the department inside out, and she was like she will not repeat the mistakes the older chairperson made. So otherwise she will also need to quit the job and turn the plate to someone else actually. So the next is team properties, the turning individuals into department players. The departmental goals were neglected. So in order to make it challenging and objective, she needed to place more. She need to identify how to measure it, and like controlling the size of the teams and making a group decision making efficient. These were challenges affecting their team properties, and the group decision making and the size depended upon the three teams being represented equally there actually. And coming on to the process, there were no process and no documentation, and there was no lack of between the teams actually. So doing a market comparison, actually, ANC Bank was a big means when I was going through papers, etc. ANC Bank was a big player who changed their values and changed their strategy and become a high performing company by entirely focusing on their values actually and people. So that example can be applied over here. Like they introduced various initiatives, conducted various workshops, and introduced tools and improved to improve and initiated metrics for the measurement of their success actually. So they promoted effective communication between the people, and they started seeking and acting on feedbacks by the people working for them. So that really made the change from being a from into a people and high performance culture company actually. From taking into account from ANC Bank, what I recommend is dividing the team into groups with team members from each department and assigning multiple projects with different team members, and introduction of a transformational style of leadership involving in issues and finding solutions. Means with each departments, with proper leader member information exchange, each people being easily able to come to the chairperson and communicate. That would also help. It would give a flat type of organizational structure, and will give a effective information exchange as well. Then selection of executive team members based on discretion between the each individual departments, so that everyone feels represented. and objective setting in non-research activities like percentage of hours spent on teaching, academic improvements proposed, supporting students, etc. That can be also done. Objective setting in research with outcomes and timelines to cover up the time spent on research, to speed up the research. That would also help actually. I mean, discussing on an effective timeline for each research activities, and then proposing a system of incentives for involvement in CSR activities actually. These would be the recommendations for me for solving that issue. Then coming on to the references, these are the few references I have gone through. You can have a go through the same. And thank you all. That's it. Thanks a lot. Bye.